India is his favorite team to decimate, which is Travis Head, as we all know. He's the top scorer of the series. He does not play. That's better for India. He just plays out Bumrah, some caution, and otherwise he just goes on to rip apart all the other bowlers. Pat Cummins played some crucial knocks throughout this innings. Sam Constas, who just irritated the hell out of Indian sides.
It was great watching in the TV. So I expect like people who were in Melbourne sitting there, and when he was doing all those kind of things, it was looking really funny, and I really enjoyed it.
In your face Australian player kind of an image, and his confrontation with Kohli just took the media by storm. So I think, yeah, the Australian cricket board wanted to throw something different. So they wanted to upset Bumrah, disturb the momentum, and just probably shake things up a bit in the series.
Nitish Reddy is a worse batter than Hardik Pandya. That's not the point. It's just the experience.
Lost his nerve in the end, did Michael Holan try. And Lord Carr, chairman of the credentials.
They're running. It's got to be a direct hit. Getting back for two. That is the end of the match. Won the NatWest Series.
Areas. It would have been fantastic if it would have been 100.
In the air, Nishant takes it. India win. Finishes off in style. A magnificent strike into the crowd. Here we go, last ball to the outside, it's running through, it could be run out.
Wide, Muller gets it, and he gets plenty of it, does he? No, what a catch! Oh my God!
It's in the air, it's India who win the T20 World Cup after 17 years.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and as promised we are here today to discuss on the performances of Australia squad, how they fared in this series, and obviously they won, but how they came back from the earth-shattering defeat they faced in Perth, the opening test match of the Border Gavaskar Trophy. And yes, we will go player by player for both batters, bowlers, and all-rounders, and try to break it down, like how did they perform and where the difference was between the two teams, so that ultimately the scoreline reads 3-1. So I'm here with Nishant, and it's a lovely day to start. It's a Sunday morning, and how are you feeling, Nishant? And how is your day?
No, the day is looking good. I think over the course of the day we'll have a lot more matches coming up. So I'm gonna watch a lot of them. Yeah, the temperature is here still a bit cold, but today it's a bit manageable. So I think, yeah, a good day to talk about Australia. They've given us a thumping in the BGT, and yeah, over the course of the series, I think all of them performed really well. It reflects in the result, which is 3-1. I would say that we were a bit lucky in Brisbane because that test match could have easily, if not gotten washed out, we would have lost that match easily. So it would have been a 4-1, which was the fair reflection of the series. So yeah, looking forward to talk about the Aussies and yeah, how they ultimately ended up beating us.
Yeah, definitely. So I think let's start with the batsman, as we did for India, and the usual culprit, which India really despises. That if he does not play, that's better. That's better for India. But every time he comes up to the venue, and he just stands up to the occasion, and looks like India is his favorite team to decimate, which is Travis Head, as we all know. He's the top scorer of the series with 448 runs across 9 innings in the 5 test matches, with an average of 56 and an astounding strike rate of 92. It's just unbelievable how well he plays against India, and it's like there's no fear in him. He just plays out Bumrah with some caution, and otherwise he just goes on to rip apart all the other bowlers. So, what do you think about his performance?
Yeah, I think we've seen this since the time we have been watching cricket, at least. Every era, there are a few pantomime villains who just perform against India no matter what the conditions are, no matter what the pitch is, no matter where they're playing. And Travis Head certainly is one of those pantomime villains in the league of let's say Kumar Sangakkara or a Ricky Ponting. Uh, they just perform against us. They just love India so much, and they perform against us in every condition. That's what Travis Head did over the course of 2023 and 2024, the World Cup final, the World Test Championship final, now the PGT. I mean, I really am impressed by the kind of showing Travis Head did. We generally compare Rishabh Pant to the kind of player that Travis Head is. He just takes no prisoners, just hits the ball. But just look at the strike rates. I mean, Rishabh Pant in the five test matches has a strike rate of 59.03, whereas Travis Head has a strike rate of 92.56. He scored double the runs of Rishabh Pant. I mean, what else do you got to say? I mean, in this series specifically, Travis Head was leagues and leagues above Rishabh Pant or any other batter that India brought to the series. So, I mean, this from a batting perspective, Travis Head probably won Australia two out of the five games single-handedly, and yeah, it was a really good showing from him.
Definitely, yeah. So a nine from my side, like Travis said, even
Yeah,
though not much with the ball, but in the field and with the bat, he really leaded the side and
yeah.
he led the side to victory in at least two of the matches on his own. So yeah, a solid
Yeah,
nine
I
from
think
my
I
side.
think for me, yeah, I think an 8.5 for me, simply because in the last two or three test matches, he didn't perform to the levels that he could or he should. But by the time that lull came, Australia was so far ahead in the series that he had already won them the series. I think Australia is just lucky to have a guy like Travis Head who takes no prisoners, and yeah, a guy like that coming in the middle order and changing the game is something that's very rare to see. And yeah, a solid 8.5 for me as well for Travis Head.
Definitely. So, moving on from Travis Head to the guy who kind of struggled and found his own in this series, and he's one of the Fab Four, and right now he's as good as they come in Test cricket is Steve Smith, and he is right at number three after Travis Head and Yashasvi Jaiswal in the leading run scorers of the series with 314 runs, 9 innings. Average is close to 35 and strike rate is 55. So I think he did pretty well considering he was not coming in this series as a in-form batsman, but he showed his class and he struggled, but he stood there and he found his game on the field itself, and that's a sign of a great batsman who can just really reinvent things whenever required. So really good performer, good solid. Um, uh, you can say a pillar of Australian batting lineup whenever they wanted to slow down the things and just build a steady partnership. Steven Smith was right there, so I think a good eight for from my side to Steven Smith.
Yeah, I think just the caliber of player he is. I mean, though his average now, career average is below 60, at some point of time it used to be even 60, 65. So
Yes.
he has had a few bad years from his standards in the past few years, and he wasn't really being picked as an automatic starter before the BGT. So there were a lot of talks in the Australian media. He might open, he might play at number three. They didn't know where to play him. All they knew that they wanted to play him because it was such a big series and he's a big game player. So, but yeah, when the important moments come, the big players put their hands up, and that's what he did. I still think that he had an average series from his standards because an average of 34.84. I mean, Steve Smith never averages actually that little in a five-game test series when he has 10 innings to bat through. So for me, he still could have done a lot more things better. I mean, that moment when he was on 9,999 runs and he just wanted one run to get to a 10,000 runs, and he just gets caught by Yashasvi in the gully. That was a bit heartbreaking for me. I wanted to see him get that 10,000 runs simply because he's such a good player. But yeah, overall, he got that century that he really needed. He had some brilliant partnerships with Magnus in the middle order. He didn't look at his fluent best, but still, because of the technique that he has, and he just dances around the pitch and makes the bowler change his lines far too often. So yeah, I mean, he was good in the series, and he was probably a tad bit lucky as well because we only had Jasprit, and Ashwin had also retired because Ashwin does seem to have his number.
Yes.
So if Ashwin was there, probably he could have tackled Steve Smith a bit better. Uh, but yeah, overall, his temperament was good, and looks like he's coming back into the form, and that really doesn't help South Africa one bit because yeah, in the World Test Championship final, I think he would be the one who would be bang in form and hitting those runs. He obviously loves England so much, batting in England. So yeah, it's a good sign for Australian cricket that their marquee player is coming back to form, has come back to form in this series. For me, probably a 7.5 for him simply because if you look at our bowling lineup, as we said, we only had Jasprit, and Siraj wasn't performing to the best of his abilities. Still, in the top five run scorers for the series, there are three Indians and two Australians, which shows that the ball dominated this series,
Yes.
and in that kind of a situation to come up and score a fair bit runs to give your side just that little bit of a margin for Stark and Cummins and Boland to work. It was pretty good from him, and yeah, 7.5 for me, and a good series for him.
Yeah, definitely. And there was a slight hint of serendipity in Steve Smith getting out at figure of 9,999 because I was
Yeah,
reading up on some stats, and the last two players to score hundreds were captains at that time, Steve Waugh and Ricky Ponting. So I think it was just destiny, and he's going to captain the first test in Sri Lanka. So I think he would be also joining that record book where a captain scores his 10,000th run as a captain, an Australian guy. So I think destiny plays some part in
yeah,
this as well. Like it's a happy coincidence, but yeah.
yeah. So the third on the list for Australia is Marnus Labuschagne. He is at the seventh spot when it comes to the total number of scores by batters, with an average of 25.78. He scored 232 runs in the series. I mean, uh, not a good series from his standard, I would say. There was a time people used to say that Marnus Labuschagne is the luckiest cricketer in the world because he just he nicks a ball, the catches get dropped, and otherwise he won't just nick the ball. He'll keep getting beaten, but won't nick the ball. This time it wasn't so. I think the luck had run out, and over the past couple of years, if you see, he's again someone who's bang out of form because when he just burst into the international arena, he was averaging even more than Steve Smith,
Yes.
and he used to score in every game. But this series, to his standard, wasn't that great. But having said that, what I like to commend him for is that he never gave up throughout the series. He was just there, no matter how many times he would get beaten. He would hang in there. He would want to grind it out, and that's something I didn't see from any batter in Indian lineup. And both Steve Smith and Marnus tried to do that, tried to hang in there, tried to play Test cricket the way it should be played because Test cricket is difficult after all. It's on a day three or a day four pitch. It becomes really difficult to bat. And to hang in there is the biggest skill, and that's what Marnus showed. And for me, yeah, he was an important player for Australia. And yeah, for me, I would probably give him a 6.5, but that's just because of the sheer number of runs that he scored. But the balls that he consumed during that period mattered a lot. And yeah, he had a good series, even though his numbers suggest otherwise.
Yeah, definitely he didn't score too much on his part, but he played a really crucial part in building partnerships and
yeah,
giving the other batter time to settle down, take his own time, and just if not anything else, just get the ball older so that the next batsman coming up, guys like Travis had, it becomes easier for them to just dominate from the beginning itself. So I think, yeah, he played his part, although from his own perspective, this was not a series that can be considered good from his standards. But yes, he never gave up that never gave up attitude. I think it lies in the way he began his test career, and who can forget the Ashes, where he came as a substitute, the concussion substitute for Steve Smith, and just uh, like facing trial by fire from
yeah,
Jofra Archer. So I think, yeah, he that nature of grinding it out is ingrained from his debut itself. So I think he just carried forward that, and I think, yeah, it worked for Australia, even though he couldn't score big. But yeah, he played his part in this match. So yeah, a decent six from my side, and yeah, that's about Manas Labuschagne. I think we can now move to a player who also played his part from behind the wickets and also playing some handy knocks whenever he came lower down the order, who is Alex Carey. I think he had a decent outing there, like 216 runs in 8 innings, and with an average of 31, almost 31. I think he did his part as a lower middle order
yeah,
batsman, and he
yeah,
the keeping was brilliant. Like it was top
yeah,
notch, as
yeah.
good as Rishabh Pant, and I think, yeah. So he played his part really well, Alex Carey, in this.
Yeah, I think he had a phenomenal series. If you ask me, coming down the order, number six, number seven, most of the times when you have to bat with the tail enders. Obviously, I mean, we aren't considering Pat Cummins as a real tail ender, like you would say a Siraj or an Akash Deepis. Pat Cummins knows to hold a bat, but still, he had some really crucial innings. I mean, that Melbourne day three. I mean. India could have gotten Australia out really cheaply, but that partnership between him and Patty Cummins really put Australia back into the game. uh, Behind the wickets, he was solid. An average of 30 for a wicket-keeper batsman who comes lower down the order is pretty respectable, pretty good. You're not expecting him to score at an average of 50 throughout the series. That's the job of Travis Head and Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne. So the job that he was given, he did it really well. He kept really well. He took a lot of catches. There were no mistakes in his keeping. Probably a seven or a seven and a half for me, for Alex Carey, because yeah, he had a good series from his standards.
Definitely, yeah. A good seven from my side for Alex Carey. I think he did pretty
Yeah,
well. He played his role as was expected, and I think, yeah, he did good.
yeah,
Next, coming
yeah,
to the favorite bunny of Bumrah, who just
yeah,
couldn't get past of him, couldn't see ahead of Bumrah in
yeah,
this series. I think it was really a good contest between them, and it was a huge pleasure seeing Bumrah winning every time. Although in the end, Sam Constas also played a part in it. Yeah, that was a hilarious moment when like Bumrah was almost
yeah,
spent, and he was just trying to finish his overs as soon as possible. And Sam Constas, I don't know how he got this idea, just trying to irritate Bumrah and just slow things down so that India cannot get one more over in the day. So I think, yeah, that really infuriated Bumrah, and he just came steaming in and just got Usman Khwaja out, caught behind in the slips. I think, and it was really the face of Usman Khwaja was a sight to behold, because he just said it all with his expressions to Constance that, dude, you got me out this time.
yeah,
It was not Bumrah. It was your contribution more than Bumrah. You just ignited a fire in him that was almost
yeah,
going out at the fag end of the day. Yeah, it was
yeah.
really good.
Yeah. I really love watching batters like Usman Khwaja. I mean, there's so few left now. So Dean Algarez retired from South Africa. Pujara is obviously retired from India. Usman Khwaja is one of the last batters who believe in attrition, who would take the time out of the game. They don't really care about the runs on the board. It's the balls that they worried about. Can they eat up a lot more balls? Can they make the ball older before their number three and number four comes into play? I think by his standards, Usman Khwaja really had a bad series, and as you rightly pointed out, that was simply because Bumrah was spitting fire from the other end, and Bumrah was just so unplayable in this series. And when you are the one who has to face the first delivery, a new cherry, a shiny cherry, which Bumrah is swinging in all the directions, it becomes really hard. I think in the last test match when he got to bat against Prasidh Krishna, he scored a lot of runs off of him, and he basically changed his tempo of the game in the last inning. Started scoring a lot quickly because he realized that he just wasn't able to stay at the wicket. The ball was just doing too much. But yeah, I think he didn't have a great series, probably a five and a half or a six for me, considering he was facing Bumrah and didn't really get a lot of runs. But I'm looking forward to see him play a bit more. I don't think he'll play past the World Test Championship final. I think his career is at a fag end. But yeah, I didn't have a great series from my point of view.
Yeah, I think, yeah, but not a good series for Usman Khwaja. Obviously, just 184 runs in 10 innings. It's average of 20 only.
Yeah,
Not a good sign for the opener. And I think this also he was able to achieve once Sam Constas was in the side because he started attacking Bumrah. So that gave some sort of a breather to Usman Khwaja, and then he took his time and he got runs against Siraj and guys like Prasidh Krishna. So that's how he was still able to accumulate 184 runs. And otherwise, it would have been less than 150. So not a great series from him. I think five from my side. And yes, I don't see him playing past the WTC final. But it also depends. I'm not sure when is the next Ashes
yeah.
career with the Ashes.
Next year, December is the Ashes. So the Boxing Day test next year would be this year, 2025 December,
Okay.
would be England versus Australia in Australia. So yeah,
Probably
let's see.
he would want to stretch
Yeah,
till that time. Yeah, but
yeah,
that would be the like this is the last year of
yeah,
Usman Khwaja's cricketing career because he's already 38 and
yeah.
I don't
On the
think
same boat as Rohit Sharma, you would say.
same boat as Rohit Sharma, yeah, and I don't think much
Yeah,
cricket is left in him. It's just
yeah,
right now Australia is fine with the opening pair and whenever they will lose, the axe will fall on the opening pair only, and Usman
yeah,
Khwaja will be
yeah.
left out for the sake of the future.
Yeah, but it's gonna be really really difficult for Australia while we're talking about this because already in this series they experimented with two different openers. That means that they're not sure who's gonna open their batting in the future on a long term period. The constant there is that Usman Khwaja is always there at the other end, but now that
Yes.
you're removing Usman Khwaja as well from the equation, I think it will be pretty difficult for Australians to uh, replace their opening 1-2. They're still. I'm not sure that they have 100% made up their mind that Constance would be the one who would open. So they have to find basically two. So it's gonna be difficult for them. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if it's not the WTC final, then it's the Ashes in December 25, which will be the last series according to me for Osman Khwaja. Yeah,
Yeah, all depends on his mindset. Probably if he wants to just finish on a winning note as World Test champions, then I think the month of June would be the best for him to retire on a high note and probably, or if he wants to like get his hands dirty again, one last time in the Ashes, then these are the two milestones just left. So
yeah,
yeah, it will be depending on his mindset. But yeah, fairly poor series for Usman Khwaja as a batsman. And now the guy we are moving to is we are talking about his batting stats is itself speaks a lot about him because he is not known or he is not probably designated to score this much as a batsman. coming at number nine. But yeah, Pat Cummins played some crucial knocks throughout this innings, although the overall figure is just 159, but with an average of 20. But looking at the numbers, Usman Khwaja and Pat Cummins are at the same level. So that talks a lot about Pat Cummins' batting. And yeah, he did really form some crucial partnerships, which brought Australia back from a definitive defeat or probably a draw in the MCG. So I think yeah,
Yeah,
he like I think he scored two fifties and both were
yeah,
match defining 50s. So I think really good performance from the bat. As looking at his batting order, a solid eight from my side.
yeah. I think I have you. I have a lot of time for Pat Cummins. He's such a brilliant leader. He's such a brilliant captain. Such a brilliant bowler. Yeah, he does really good things with the bat. Who can forget that 18 or 16 ball 50 in the IPL where he was just hitting everything out of the ground. So he's no muck with the bat. I think if it hadn't been for Jasprit Bumrah, he was the player of the series for me. He was just so good throughout the series. I mean, after the first test, when India came out as the victors, Australian media put so much pressure on this side. I mean, you're playing at home. A team has come from a series defeat in home against New Zealand, which you don't consider right now that great of a test side, and they come and beat you in Perth. So yeah, there were questions that were raised against Patty Cummins, but the way that he managed his troops, his tactics throughout the series, he was so attacking. Uh, whenever there was a partnership building for India, it was he who came with the ball and broke those partnerships. He protected his players and came out in the firing line. All the great traits of a leader, and now there is no trophy that's left in his cabinet. I mean, he has won everything. He has won the One Day World Cup. He has won the T20 World Cup. He has won the World Test Championship. He has won the Border Gavaskar Trophy. He's won the Ashes. I mean, there is nothing that's left for him to achieve. He's just a generational player, a generational talent. Coming to his batting, uh, that innings in Melbourne, I think was his best inning with the bat in the series because yeah, that single-handedly saved the test match because when Nitish Reddy got that 100, it was fairly clear that India were ahead in the game. But Patty Cummins showed determination, hung in there, switched the momentum back into the favor of Australian side, and that was a very crucial test match. India could have gone to the Sydney Test, with a 2-1 or a 2-2. It would have been a 2-1. But yeah, Pat Cummins stopped all that, and he looks supremely confident right now as a leader. He's also going to become a father, so he's not going to Sri Lanka. So we'll probably see him the next time in IPL and then in the WTC final. But overall, for me, Pat Cummins, I'm not just going to rate him for his batting, I'm going to rate him for his overall. And for me, he was a 9.5 probably, because he was just marvelous throughout the series.
Yeah, definitely. Really, good performance. Like leading by example, if something had to see the living embodiment of that, Pat Cummins is that like more than 25 wickets, 25 wickets in the series and more than 150 runs. I think it was an all-round performance with absolutely brilliant captaincy. And he didn't let the side crumble under the pressure after the Perth
Yeah,
results came out. I think he did brilliant in this side. Like
yeah,
9.5 from me as
yeah,
well. Now moving to the guy who just irritated the hell out of Indian side, Sam Constas. I think he just got to play two tests, four innings, but it did decently well. 113 runs with an average of 28, with an good strike rate of 81. So I think he did his job pretty well. I think the Australian cricket board wanted to throw something different at the Indian side after the Gaba test when the series were level at 1-1. So they wanted to throw someone in the mix who can just disturb the
Upset Bumrah.
upset Bumrah, disturb the momentum, and just probably shake things up a bit in the series. And I think this 19-year-old did that job brilliantly, apart from playing some good innings as an opener. Yeah, I think it's a good seven from my side. Although the contribution does not look, does not turn out to be significant in.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? You have to give him for the entertainment value as well.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
it was great watching in the TV. So I expect like people who were in Melbourne sitting there, and when he was doing all those kind of things,
yes,
it was looking
yes.
really funny, and I really enjoyed it.
He
Uh,
really brought
I
back that in your face Australian player kind
Yeah.
of an image, and his confrontation with Kohli just took the media by storm. So I think, yeah, he
Yeah,
did shake things up
I think.
the way he
Yeah,
wanted to.
yeah. I think he got into the skins of more than one Indian players.
Yes,
Obviously, he got into the skin of Bumrah. He got into the skin of Kohli and a fair few. I mean, there's a lot of cricket left for him to show what he has got. Uh, I don't think on the back of this series he can certainly say that his spot as an opener is fixed in the Australian side, because for me it was that just that one inning, the first inning at Melbourne, where he just decimated Bumrah. I mean, getting 16 or 17 runs in a Bumrah over when he's in such peak form is an event in itself, and he did it twice in the same innings. So yeah, he took everyone by shock. After that, Bumrah targeted him, and he couldn't do anything in any more of the test matches. He tried, but failed, and who would blame him for that? Bumrah is just too good, and you can't do it to him time and time again. But just for the entertainment value, for everything that he brought in, and just simply because he succeeded in that first attempt in Melbourne to do what the team management asked him to do. I think it's a 6.5 for me, but yeah, I loved him. I mean, I would be glued to the screen when he was batting or when he was on the field on the boundary line. The crowd were just so engaged with him, and he looked, as you said, like a live wire. A firecracker ready to burst at any moment. And yeah, I like what I saw from him.
yeah. If he survives till the end of the year, I would love to see him getting in the face of guys like Johnny Bairstow, Ben Stokes, and
Yeah,
that interaction would be a good sight to watch
yeah.
in itself. Yes.
Yeah, I think he has probably put down his name as an IPL player as well after that inning. I mean, this happened after the auction, so probably he didn't get into any of the sides, and I'm not sure if he is in any of the IPL sides right now. But yeah, I think if he gives one or two more innings like this in the coming year, we would definitely see him in our country in IPL.
Definitely. If his stars are aligned, probably he can come as an injury replacement for someone.
Yeah,
Otherwise, probably in the next mini auction, I think he would get picked
yeah,
if he sustained this form. So yeah,
yeah, yeah,
good for him. A bright future coming up for Sam Constas. Yeah, a seven from my
yeah.
side as well. And last but not the least, I think it should not be discussed in the batters tally, but yeah, Mitch Stark is also there in the top 15, the last spot with 97 runs in 8 innings, and he did gave some entertainment and like hit some sixes, like a couple of sixes, and just threw around his bat and yeah, he played his part wherever he can, but yeah, probably it would not be. We will.
We can talk about his bowling. That's fine as well. I mean, in 5 matches, he's taken 18 wickets and an average of 28, which is pretty good. He's only conceded 516 runs. He's bowled 920 balls, so he's bowled a lot of deliveries.
Yes.
By the end of the fourth test, he was having some issue with his back, and we thought he might not be able to play the fifth test, but he did. Also, it was so endearing to see Mitchell Stark ball when Elisa Haley was commentating, and it was just so good to see her,
Yeah.
making taking a Mickey out of of her husband, and that was pretty funny. I think. he got it looked like after the first test he had got just Yashasvi Jaiswal's number. He got him out a fair few times, but then yeah, over the course of the series, he stood tall. He was one of the linchpins of Australian bowling, and that's what you get right when you have three pacers of that quality who don't give anything away. I mean, it's so hard to survive, and Ned Stark with the year that he has had that throughout 2024, I think this series was a good one for him. And yeah, long may it continue for him because yeah, I really liked what I saw from him, and uh, it would be really hard again for Australia to replace somebody like him because they don't come around that often.
Yeah, definitely he's a gem of a player, and I think yeah he showed great levels of athleticism and fitness because he would
Yeah,
just be turning 35 this month, and at that age,
yeah,
bowling close to 150 plus overs in a
yeah.
five-match series, toiling day in, day out, and then coming to batting as well. So I think yeah,
See,
he
see,
gave it
that's
his
where
all.
the See, that's where the difference comes in, right? Because there were very little runs scored throughout the series, right? So
Right.
Mitchell Stark has bowled only 4 overs less than Mohammad Siraj. So Mohammad
Yes.
Siraj, who's bowled the most number of overs in this series, has 157 overs. Mitchell Stark has 153 overs. But look at the number of runs conceded. In just that 4 overs, Siraj has conceded 623 runs, while Mitchell Stark has conceded 516. So he has conceded 100 runs less in a series
Yes.
when the batters are not scoring those runs. I mean, 100 is a big delta, and that is where the series gets defined because when let's say the Gaba test, I mean, they weren't that many runs, and again in the Sydney test, I mean, there was literally nothing. India set a target of 160 or something, if I'm remembering correctly. So in that kind of a situation, conceding 100 runs less and just taking 2 wickets less, we're saying that Siraj didn't have that great a series, but he's taken 2 more wickets than Stark. But we're saying that Stark did have a good series. That's simply because when you look at the details and the runs that he's conceded, Siraj has conceded just way more than him.
Yeah, Mitch Stark was able to put the brakes on whenever a partnership got going. Probably he took wickets off the enders or the guys like Yashasvi who just gave fuel to the fire when he said to Mitch Stark that you are bowling too slow, dude. I can see all the balls. So I think that really lit him up, and from next test there was a different Mitch Stark, and we all know
Yeah,
how big a beast he is in pink test balls, and
yeah,
he immediately turned up with a fifer. So
yeah,
I think Mitch Stark is that kind of a guy, and yeah, like he bowled the second most overs from Australian side. Apart from that, it's Pat Cummins. I think Pat Cummins also put an tremendous effort because he bowled 167 overs throughout the series. I think the most number of balls
yeah.
from
The most
both
bowled
the
by anyone.
sides. Yeah, 1,000 balls he bowled, and still he only conceded 534 runs. So 10 more
Yeah,
overs than
I mean,
Siraj and 100 less runs than Siraj. So that shows how good he was. So yeah, I think we'll talk about Pat Cummins. So Mitch Stark, I think a solid 8 from my side.
yeah.
Really good performance.
Yeah. I think from me as well. I think a solid 8 from my side for Mitchell Stark. But just continuing the conversation that you were having right now, I mean, we were saying throughout the series in all our videos that Jasprit Bumrah needs to be rested for the fourth test match or third or the fourth because he can't carry on till the fifth. But look at Patty Cummins and Mitch Stark. They played all 5 test matches. Stark bowled 153 overs. We're saying that Jasprit Bumrah bowled far too much, but Stark bowled more than him. And Patty Cummins, who was for me after Bumrah the best bowler in this series, he bowled a tremendous number of overs. Like that guy was doing donkey's work. And look at the fitness levels after that. I mean, he didn't seem to even have a niggle after the day after the fifth test match. It was just he is just too good. I mean, Pat Cummins is just too good. But yeah, great series from Mitchell Stark.
Yeah, probably the biomechanics of Bumrah's action leaves him at a disadvantage because
Yeah,
Pat Cummins and Bumrah are of the same age. They both are 31, so there is no age gap here. And they bowl at similar speeds as well. But only then comes the action. The complexity of Bumrah's action
that's
leaves him at
also
a
what makes
disadvantage.
Bumrah great, right? That's
Great,
also
right,
what
right.
makes Bumrah great because I remember Ashish Nehra facing the same problem, right? His leg would just land like this on the crease, and every time he would bowl in 2 3 matches continuously, he'll get a leg injury because his leg was being planted on
Yeah,
the crease like this.
he
So
was
you
practically
can't change.
falling over in his follow through. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So so
this
that's
kind of action is highly prone to injury. Even I was listening to the commentary in, I think probably in the second test match. Some commentator was asking Ravi Shastri that do you think it is sustainable for Bumrah to keep playing all three formats with this kind of an action? So Ravi Shastri admitted that if he is going to play all three formats, he would not be able to sustain this performance, this kind of speeds that he's right now at. So and we saw that significant drop in the like they were breaking down his action and. They were recording the speeds, like how much he gathers in his run up and what is the speed that he gains from his wrist. So by the time it was fourth test, his wrist uh, speed went down by 7 clicks. So I think there are disadvantages to this action, and I think he should probably give up ODI altogether. I think there's not much left in the format, and probably pick
yeah,
his T20s also carefully, like which are the
yeah.
important tournaments where he wants to represent the nation, and if he wants to uh, progress his career as a Test captain and make his name in Test cricket as a top bowler, I think he would have to take
Yeah.
these decisions probably next year itself because he's not getting any younger and
I think, as you rightly said, he should get away with the one day setup because simply because not a lot of one day matches are being played any which ways.
right,
So I think just before Champions Trophy is just coming up. He has had a great work outside of India and Australia. So I think for Champions Trophy he's ready if he is fit, and fingers crossed he must be fit for the Champions Trophy. After that, I don't think before the ODI World Cup he needs to play any of the one day matches. There won't be many, but he can't play. Apart from that, as you rightly said, if he's already playing so much of the IPL. I don't think before T20 World Cup he should play a lot many T20 series as well because he's just so critical for us in the Test arena. And if Test cricket needs to survive, the best cricket players need to play test matches. That's the
definitely.
core of it if test cricket needs to survive. So Bumrah needs to play all the test matches that India is playing. And if that means sacrificing a bit of ODI career and a bit of T20 career because you're already playing IPL, and yeah, in the cup matches, you will be there. You will be in the World Cup matches. You will be there in the T20 matches. So I think, yeah, you're right. And he should really now seriously manage his workload because he's not getting any younger. You're right that he won't recover that well between the matches. So he should, and he is the best bowler India has ever seen. Period. So he
And
needs to, he
we
needs,
have
yeah.
a live example in the form of Shami because Shami was 35 when he was playing the ODI World Cup and he lost an entire year of international cricket because of that surgery. And as you age, you take a lot more time to recover and to get into the groove of the things again at the international level. I think it
Every player needs to do something or the other. I remember Pat Cummins in South Africa series. It was 2013 or 2014 when he was just came to the arena, and he was bowling fast. He was bowling 154, 155, and it looked like it's Brett Lee reincarnated. He was that fast. But because of that speed, he was getting injury after injury, and you could say that the Australians were saying that he had no future because he was just too injury prone, and
yeah.
he has cut down his speed. Now he's not bowling 150, he's bowling at 140s. But that what that means is because of the length that he bowls at, the hard ball and the line is just so accurate that he has turned out to become the greatest Australian bowler of his generation after, I would say, Nathan Lyon. Though Lyon had nothing to do in this series, but Pat Cummins is genuinely very good, and he adjusted. And I know that Bumrah can't change his action because his action is what makes Bumrah who he is. But that would mean that he would need to cut down on the matches that he's playing.
Definitely, definitely. He has to manage his workload because uh, the action can't be tempered with because he would lose the mojo that is there in his action. So that can't be tampered with. So you can probably cut down on your workload and even
Yeah,
you can pick your T20 tournaments and just keep away with the ODI altogether. So I think that would be the way for future. And from this
yeah,
coming to Pat Cummins, yeah, we were talking about Pat Cummins. So 25 wickets at an average of 21, pretty good performance in the series. And considering the amount of overs he bowled, he just gave 534 runs with one four for and one fifer. So I think it was a lead by example kind of an performance from Pat Cummins and a solid 9.5 that we have already talked about.
yeah.
So,
Solid 9.5.
yeah. Then moving to the guy who has always been a replacement bowler, but somehow he manages to bamboozle Indian batting order every time he comes around, and he's just has those nagging lines and lengths, and he's like a perfect replacement for Josh Hazelwood, and somehow he
I mean,
always ends up
what
replacing him only.
what else can you want? So I'm just looking at it. Josh Hazelwood has played two matches in this series. He has taken wickets as an average of 13.17. Then he gets injured. Scott Boland comes in and plays three test matches at an average of 13.19. There is nothing even in the average for them. So
Yeah.
like it's just like you've replaced Hazelwood with Hazelwood,
Yes.
and the only other common denominator between them is when Hazelwood was bowling, he was getting Kohli out, and then when Boland started bowling, he was getting Kohli out. So, there's nothing to separate between two. I mean, what a series Scott Boland has had. I think Hazelwood would be having a bit of an uncomfortable time back at home because he has not only performed, he has performed as well as Hazelwood could have if he had played five test matches. Though, I mean, Hazelwood is a mainstay of this Australia side, and that's also
Yes.
because of his height. And the height that he bowls at makes him a bit more uncomfortable as compared to Boland. But yeah, I mean, Boland has a terrific outing, and if he would have played the remaining two matches, then his average was still in the region of 13, like Bumrah's. I mean, we could have been talking about him being as the best bowler of the series and not Bumrah. That's how good he had bowled
Yeah,
throughout the
that's
series.
that's how good he was. Basically, yeah, they both made a bunny of Virat Kohli, and I think Scott Boland had the last laugh. I think he was
Yeah,
just uh, giving away his plans at the beginning of the match. Even then, Virat Kohli was still falling into that trap. So I think
क्या
that's the
खेलूंगा
left. Yes, that's the best phrase that we can define with
yeah,
define Scott Boland as, and he
yeah,
was equally economical. If you look at the number of runs he gave away, just 277 runs in 101 overs. So he
yeah.
is the like for like replacement of Josh Hazelwood in terms of economies, in terms of strike rates, and the number of wickets. So I think, yeah, Australia have found a great bowler in terms of Scott Boland, who regularly cannot keep playing in the front in the first 11 because of Josh Hazelwood. But I think probably whenever Mitch Stark decides to retire, Scott Boland would be there to fill that place. Although,
I mean, just look at the numbers of these top seven bowlers for the series. Five of them are Australians. I don't know
yes,
what Nathan Lyon is doing there, but four of them are pace bowlers. Five of them are Australians. There are only two Indians in there. And from seven onwards, there are only Indian bowlers. So, what that means is that Australia had their game plan set. They knew the kind of pitches they were going to give to the Indians. They knew the kind of bowlers they were going to go with. And they didn't tamper with that template any bit. But on the other hand, Indians kept tampering with their bowling lineup. They kept playing the spinners when they knew that Australia is only playing Nathan Lyon because they have to play him. Like, who else would they play? But they didn't bowl him that much. So
Right.
they were giving you the hint right from the go that these are not going to be the turning wickets which you provide us in India when we come to India. You are in Australia, you're gonna face the green tops and you're gonna face the balls that are coming out down your throat. So that was their game plan, and they had made it very obvious from right from the word go. And yeah, the team management just didn't read it correctly. They kept playing the spinners and kept not bowling them, which was sad. But
Definitely.
yeah, overall, Australian bowling was top notch in this series, and
Yeah.
it made the series so much more fun to watch because there was a time in 2024 when a lot of white ball cricket was going on, and though India lost the World Cup, but overall India would win just every match, and it became boring to a point to see just winning every match and demolishing every team, and then you come and play real cricket, which
Yeah.
is five test series in Australia, and you get found out like nothing else. So I mean, the game
Definitely.
is a great leveler, I guess.
Yeah, that bowling two spinners just it was like digging your own grave in Australia.
Yeah,
I think Ravindra Jadeja should not have been in this side because I was looking at the stats. Both him and Washi together bowled 100 overs, and the wicket tally is only shows a total of 7 wickets, which Nathan Lyon
yeah.
alone took more than 7 wickets. He took 9 wickets, and he also bowled close to
No,
120 overs. So.
no.
Even a
If you
one
would have
spinner could have done this job.
Exactly. If you would have played just either one of them, they probably would have still had 7 wickets and around 100 and 110 overs. So
Right.
there was just need for one spinner ultimately. The two border Gavaskar series that we have won in Australia under Kohli and Ravi Shastri, the template was clear. We're going to go with one spinner and we're going to go with four pacers. That was the template. It
Yes.
worked. It wasn't to be trampled with. And when you start playing it, when you're thinking, no, we're not playing a test match, we're probably playing a one day or a T20. We'll play just as many all rounders as we can find. I mean, that's not gonna cut it in test cricket. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think Nitish and Washi were enough for this side, and you could have
Yeah,
easily played a Sarfaraz instead of Ravindra
yeah,
Jadeja, which would have given a much more better batting performance
yeah,
to the
yeah,
overall batting order. I think
yeah.
it would have been a solid batting
You
order.
that's a decision that you've got to make. You can either play a Sarfaraz in place of a Jadeja if you want to strengthen your batting, or you play Harshit Rana and Akashdeep together along with Bumrah and Siraj if you want to make your bowling stronger. And then you have Nitish and Washi to give you a few more overs if you don't want to bowl them. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is the choice you had to make. You had to go for a specialist. You can't go with three all rounders in a test match. You just can't. I mean, Australians weren't going with three all rounders, right? I mean,
Right.
if you consider it, so Bew Webster is an all rounder. He came in place only because Mitch
He
Marsh was
got
got
injured
not
side
there, but
slightly.
basically Cam Green couldn't start the series. So because
Yes.
Cam Green couldn't start the series, Mitch Marsh came. He didn't perform, so Bew Webster came. But
Yes.
they were eyeing only one all rounder, one bowling all rounder. That's it. And then you had three quick bowlers in Cummins, Hazelwood, and Stark. And your fourth pacer would be an all-rounder like we had Nitish Reddy, and you go with Nathan Lyon as your fifth bowler.
Yeah.
And if there is a need be, then Travis Head can just swing his arm. That was their game plan. You could have gone with something similar, and I agree with you. Could have gone with Sarfaraz. You could have
Yes.
gone with Dhruv Jurel, who had a really good game before the start of the series, and Dhruv
Definitely.
Jurel deserves this spot even more because he has been whenever he has been given a chance, he has grinded out his inning and he has shown real good temperament. So Dhruv Jurel had and even he did have a say to. You tried with Devdutt Padikkal. You didn't stick with him. I mean, it just shows a lack of clarity.
Definitely, yeah. It shows the lack of clarity. And yeah, the you should not temper with the template so much. Like your fourth seamer should be an all-rounder, and you should have to have three quality pace bowlers along with a specialist spinner, and that should be the template, I think. And
Yeah.
Whenever you falter from that, I think you are inviting uncertainties, which
It also affects the player, right? So I'm Nitish Kumar Reddy. I know that I can bowl, I know that I can bat, but and the team has selected me for that purpose, but I'm not being allowed to bowl. That shows to me that they don't trust me and my bowling skills. That's the only reason why I'm not able to bowl, because Jasprit Bumrah is tired, Siraj is tired, other bowlers are tired, but I'm not being allowed to bowl. It's only because the team management right now doesn't trust me that much with my abilities, and that's not a good sign.
yeah, you can see like he bowled only 44 overs across 5 matches. He played all five. So it's just 9 overs per match, 4 overs per innings. That's not how you show trust in a young all-rounder that you can't even give him 10 overs in an innings. So
I
that
mean,
shows,
I mean, a Ganguly or a Sehwag or a Sachin bowled more overs in a test match
yes,
than that, and they were not all
definitely. Yeah,
rounders. So,
right. So that shows that
and
how less they trusted him.
if you wanted your seeming all rounder to bowl only 4 overs inside a test match, then you could have probably played Hardik Pandya instead, because then his
Yeah.
fitness won't have been an issue, and he would have bowled those 4 overs with a lot more pace than Nitish Reddy would have done.
Definitely, definitely. He would have bowled with a lot more pace. He had a lot more experience. Probably he would
Yeah.
have given better batting performances as well.
100%. Yeah. Just because I'm not saying Nitish Reddy is a worse batter than Hardik Pandya. That's not the point. It's just the experience,
Experience,
and
yes.
it's just the experience and the confidence. And if you're just asked to bowl 4 overs in a match, I mean, he's bowling 4 overs in a T20 game. Every T20 game he's bowling. You're asking
Definitely.
him to bowl 4 overs in a test match. That's just nothing. You could have just taken Hardik Pandya for that matter.
Definitely. So it's a lack of planning, a failure of captaincy as well, I can say.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, a lot of unutilized potential, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so we talked about Pat Cummins. We talked about, yeah. So Scott Boland, I would give a solid 9 for his performance.
Yeah, 100%, a solid 9.
Yeah. So we have talked about Pat Cummins, Scott Boland, and Mitch Stark. So now we come to the bowler who is sixth in the wicket-taking list, who's the only spinner who could take like close to 10 wickets. He took 9 wickets in 122 overs he bowled. So yeah, and some of these wickets are not even from his bowling prowess. It's from
Yeah,
silly mistakes from guys like Shubman Gill who are just running down to the pitch without even thinking what they want to do and just getting out stumped, caught behind, these kind of things. So I think yeah, this series did not have a lot to offer to the spinners, and but because of his wits and his experience, Nathan Land was able to take 9 wickets,
yeah,
and it was a just a decent performance. Not too much to brag about or
yeah.
too much to give applauds, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
that
probably same from me. I think a solid 6 is good, not because his quality lacked anything. The pitches were just not meant for him. We thought that probably Sydney would be the Melbourne, and Sydney would be the one way would he would start turning the ball, but even those were green tips. So there was not a lot Nathan Lyon could do. He wasn't even used as a holder of the ends. So he wasn't really bowling that much. Again, one of the last great test bowlers, Ashwin has retired. Nathan Lyon will probably retire again as Usman Khwaja after the Ashes in 25 December. So a great bowler, didn't have much to do in this series. Uh, but yeah, so not a lot to say about him.
yeah.
I think that wraps up our coverage of the Border Gavaskar. It was a good series. I would conclude to say that it was such a relief because in 2024 we saw so many test matches in India, and they were just all ranked turners, and uh, it gets boring after a point of time. I would really hope that BCCI thinks about it, that the next time we are playing in India, a big series in India, test matches, or even one day series, just provide friendly wickets. Don't make them shit tips. I mean, where the ball is turning square. That's not going to help anybody. And specifically when your batters aren't that confident against spin any which ways.
Yeah.
So they are exactly like the team coming in. So I hope that they provide better wickets in the upcoming series. But yeah, overall, I think this Border Gavaskar was really interesting. It was a heartbreaker, but a really interesting series at that.
Yeah, definitely an eye opener for India that they need to relook at their test strategy and the kind of players they want to bring in for the future, and some hard decisions for India to take. And if
Yeah.
they don't take it, we are unfortunately looking at the same results in the England tour as well if some
Yeah.
solid steps are not taken. So,
Yeah.
hoping the leaders would take note of this and the management would take of.
Just
Yeah.
just a moment before we wrap up, Divyansh. I was just thinking, do you think right now is the time for us to segregate? I mean, there should be a white ball team who plays one day and T20s, and then there will be a red ball team who plays purely test matches. You'll need to increase the payments you're giving to test match players because most of them aren't really playing IPLs because they're not that kind of a player. So let's say Shrikar Bharat, right? Or Hanuma Bihari kind of a player who's not really picked up in your IPL setup. Train them to be test match players. Play them in test matches because I think even the coaching setup for tests should be completely different from white ball because white ball let Gautam Gambhir take over the ODI and the T20 setup and bring all the all rounders and the philosophy whatever you have. Give test matches to someone like VVS Lakshman who knows the integrity. I'm not saying Gautam Gambhir doesn't, but I think the setup needs to be different because what I'm seeing rather too much is T20 batting coming into test matches, and then that means a test match is only going on for 3 days at a maximum 4 day, which is just a waste of time and money, even for spectators. Let's say there's a test match in Delhi and I'm going there. I have to buy a pass for 5 days because I have to see a test match. You don't get passes as per innings or as per day. You'll have to take the pass for all 5 days. That means a test match ticket comes around to be a 5,000 rupee ticket, right? And then you're getting 3 days of test matches in that, which is not something that I would really want. So I think it's high time that we should divide the teams, a red ball team and a white ball team.
Yeah,
Because even a
definitely.
red ball
Yeah.
team now has a World Test Championship, right? So they also have something to look up to. They also have their
Yes.
goals.
Yeah, they have their different cycle. They have a definite number of points to look at. So they also have a 2 year plan in mind that we are
Yeah,
targeting this in this test cycle.
yeah,
So yeah, this can definitely be considered, and probably for international tournaments like ODI World Cup and T20 World Cup, you can do some mix and match. But
yeah.
yeah, if a test squad remains different with a different thought process and coaching methodology, that could do wonders to this Indian side, and they.
Yeah, so because you see, like, what is the message that you're sending to your domestic players? If you can hit the ball, if you can hit the ball long, if you can play in the IPL, you will be selected for the test team as well. There is then no scope left for classical batting and the good technique because the same players who are doing well in the domestic in T20s are the ones who are selected for test matches. So the ones who are grinding it out, the ones who are scoring hundreds and hundreds and 300, 400 balls probably with a strike rate of 40, 50, they are not considered in a T20 arena. And by definition, they are not considered in international arena because you're not playing the IPL. I think that's unfair for players who could be really good test batters. I mean, who says Rituraj Gaikwad couldn't have played in this? He also plays the test. He also plays the white ball cricket, right? But he's a really good test player. You're not considering him. You're not considering players who could genuinely stick around and play good quality cricket. You're just not
Yeah,
experimenting.
guys like Abhimanyu Ishwaran who were brought in as a
Yeah,
specialist opener, but they were never given a chance to do that job. So I think he just went as a traveler to be
it
some.
makes the players' head a lot cluttered because if you would have told like a Cheteshwar Pujara or a Ajinkya Rahane, let's say 5 years ago, that you're only gonna play test matches, I'm pretty sure both of them would have been playing test matches even now because they wouldn't then bother themselves with playing the IPL and playing. They would play Ranji cricket, they would play the red ball cricket, and they would then go to the red ball series. And there's
Right.
nothing wrong with it because there's so much cricket that's already happening. We don't want to see the same players playing against the same players all the time. There are
Right.
only 10, there are only 5 or 6 good cricket teams that are available. It's not like football where the entire world is playing the sport. So at least
Definitely.
at least have different teams.
Sure, definitely. I think they should consider this for the next Test Championship cycle. And with this thought, I think it's time to close
Yeah,
this episode, and we will keep bringing you all the updates about Champions Trophy because there is so much chaos there. I think the grounds are not ready yet, and they had to be handed over to ICC by the next weekend, and I'm not sure whether they are going to
uh,
accomplish that. Although PCB is so confident that they are having the series, I think, against England, starting with Lahore. But the stadium is not in a good
uh,
condition right now. Stands are getting built, the seats are getting replaced, and everything is under process right now. This is not how
I
you
mean,
organize a world-class tournament. So probably we
it's
might see some matches getting shifted to Dubai, probably. But yeah, we will bring you all that in a separate episode. Yeah, that is also a
yeah.
great fun.
It's hilarious what's happening with Pakistan. I'm sorry. I mean, it feels really bad for the people there, but it's hilarious what's happening there. There's just no money for anything. There's no infrastructure, and they're adamant to hosting it. And I'm of the opinion that Indian team should have gone to Pakistan and played in Pakistan. And but yeah, I completely agree. Who would go to watch? I mean. There's nothing. Would they be serving like a popcorn there, or even that would be there? I don't know. So it's hilarious.
Even the stands are not up to the mark right
Yeah.
now. And it's not like they have not been given budget. They have been like there are three stadiums. I think it's Lahore, Rawalpindi, and I think
Gaddafi.
Gaddafi. So
Yeah.
for Lahore, they have allotted $90 million for the renovations, and for the next stadium, it was
But
45 million.
45 out of those 90 would go into these committees, right? They would go
Yeah,
into the pockets of these people. So there's just so much rampant corruption in there. Like you spend money, it just goes nowhere. It goes down the drain. So that's why the infrastructure is like that.
definitely. So
I mean,
they
it
have
used to
to.
happen in India as well, right? But I
Yes.
mean, past couple of decades, we've just changed so much. Like, there's so many facilities coming up every day. I just go out of my society and I would see three cricket academies right there in front of my house. I mean, there's a lot of facilities are coming up in here, but Pakistan, I think it's just lost in time. It's it's just stuck in the 80s.
Yeah. So yeah, we will discuss all of that in our next episode. But for now, me and Nishan signing
Yeah.
off, and keep subscribing, liking, and sharing our channel. Have a great day. Thank you. Goodbye.